Hello and thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the program. It's Sport Pizza, of course, you know, is the biggest, the boldest, and where you get the absolute best in the ever exciting world of sport. My name is Brownson Uwana, your host, and I must tell you that the show is well loaded for your viewing pleasure. It's few days to the kickstart of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Now, this is the first time that the World Cup will be hosted in November. And of course, even though there were a lot of complaints by some club sides, but that have been laid to rest. In a few days from now, the fallout of it is that the Super Eagles of Nigeria won't be participating. But of course, we are already living with that. No worries. But on the program today, we're also looking at the remaining groups that we have not analyzed and their chances of qualifying. Lots of things to come your way on the show. But first, let's take a very quick break. When we come back, we serve you all the actions. Don't go away. The greatest football showpiece lands in Qatar as 32 teams slug it out or become the next world champion.
The World Cup is a platform where gladiators meet for bragging rights.
Now talking about bragging rights, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Robert Lewandowski. Now how can I forget Kylian Mbappe, top players to look out for.
Will the dietitian be able to make it happen for France this time around? How about Roberto Martinez from Belgium? Not forgetting, from the African continent, Aliou Cisse from Senegal.
Catch all the analysis
right here on Sport Pizza.
All right, welcome back. Now, let me bring my strike partner, Olakunle Philip. And on the first 5-10 minutes of the show, we'll be looking at the remaining groups we haven't seen. We'll be looking at Group F, G, H, and looking at the chances of the teams qualifying to the final round, the round of 16 of the tournament. Olakunle Philip, thank you so much for joining me on the program today.
Yeah, top of the day to you, Brownson. It's great to be here once again to talk sport. I had, last week was indeed a very exciting one for me.
Every time Arsenal win, it must be exciting. Every time Arsenal win, it's exciting.
I didn't want to say this because most of my Arsenal, Chelsea friends already considered defeat to Arsenal prior to that game.
Before the game?
Yeah, before the game. So I didn't want to talk about that game. I'm just excited about the fact that Arsenal are still top of the table. And also, I watched some exciting games. It's just sad that Nigeria will not be playing at the World Cup, but our players are out there doing very well for their respective club sides.
Yeah, maybe these players should be signed into some of this national team if it was possible. He'll probably go on loan.
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine, a Ghanaian friend of mine was saying, oh, I would wish you guys can just give us Victor Osimhen for the period of the World Cup. We really we do appreciate that if that can happen, but unfortunately that wouldn't be seeing the light of the day.
All right, that won't see light of the day. There's no transfer in World Cup, so let them play with their Asama Gang is not even playing anymore. All right, let's look at the remaining group. Now don't forget that we've looked at Group A, B, C, D, and E. Now the 3 other teams will be analyzed on the program today. Now let's look at Group F. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia makes up this group. It looks exciting on paper, and on paper also it looks like Belgium just might be the strongest in this group. But when you have Croatia and of course Canada, maybe Morocco shouldn't also be overlooked.
Yeah, maybe Morocco should not be overlooked. Absolutely, they are one of the brightest teams in the African continent as we speak. Apart from the Teranga Lions of Senegal, the Moroccans, the Atlas Lions are second, and the manner they've been playing with the quality of players at their disposal, they stand a very good chance. But when you look at that team, the group, Belgium stands right above every other team in terms of ranking, in terms of performance, in terms of coaching. They are right above the other teams. Roberto Martinez is the coach, and most of the tournaments they've participated in the last few years, they've been very unlucky to stay at that, not to have won the silverware at this time. Probably you call them underachievers, because in terms of quality, they've got it right at their disposal. When in a country where you have Kevin De Bruyne, where you have Eden Hazard, though he's not been on top of his game in recent time. You've got that striker who just moved to Milan from Chelsea, Romelu Lukaku, as well in that team. He's a very strong and a very formidable team. When you look at the team that might likely qualify, then you really want to say Belgium and the rest of the other teams. But Belgium, yes, they'll go through. For the second position team, I think it's going to be a big battle between Morocco and Croatia. Croatia, yes, they've been on their ascendancy and they've been growing in leaps and bounds, and they're a team that you can't really push over any day, anytime when you talk about teams' performances in Europe. So I think it's going to be a big battle between
Belgium
Canada,
and Croatia.
Croatia and Morocco, but I think that Croatia slightly have an advantage to hedge this one. Then you can rule out Morocco, but for Canada, I think they stand no chance in this group. All
right, Canada might just be the whipping boys, according to Olakunle Philip. But of course, no doubt, Belgium look good on paper to qualify, and look at the quality that Croatia have also possessed. Of course, having top players across Europe, Perisic right now. I mean, it's been fantastic. Luka Modric, just to mention but few for Croatia. So no doubt you want to say that they stand a very good chance. But I mean, the World Cup will tell. But I mean, for my safe money, Croatia, Belgium to go through. In Group G, we have Brazil, Serbia, and of course, Switzerland, Cameroon. Now, this group, very strong, formidable, and I mean, Brazil, of course, you want to say, should be the king in this group. Yeah. So anything short of that would be an upset as far as Group G is concerned. But Serbia have also got some decent players. Switzerland, well, maybe not neither here or there, but of course, Cameroon as one of the African teams have always given these European guys tough time.
Yeah, Africa has always given these European teams tough time. So for the Brazilians, when you look at the manner in which they actually qualify for the World Cup, I want to say that no team comes close to them when you talk about team performances in this Group G that we're talking about. And the fact that they've won the World Cup, no other country has won the World Cup as much as Brazil has won. And also the fact that the team is very strong right now. They've got a lot of players. A team
in every
department where Gabriel Jesus was not invited for some of the friendly games they played. Even Gabriel Martinelli was also not invited. Martinelli came out to say he's going to have to fight for a place in that team. That really gets to tell you the depth, in that team. And the Serbian team. They are neither here nor there. I look at the other teams in this group, talking about Switzerland, Cameroon, apart from when they got to the quarterfinal in in Italian 90, where they got to the quarterfinal. They've always been crashing out in the group stage of the World Cup. So I think that these are a very good chance for them to surpass the group stage and of course proceed to the knockout phase.
So your top two teams
they stand a very good chance. They stand a very good chance against. Apart from Brazil, you can actually take out Brazil from this team as the only team that's got that edge in all ramification over every other team. Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. I think any of the three teams can qualify. As an African and as a patriot as well, I think I want Cameroon to go through, but then I think time will tell.
All right, time definitely will tell, but of course, looks to me like Brazil and maybe Serbia would go through. Based on form and quality of players. But of course, that's what it is. Now, let's quickly look at the last group would be featuring in this Road to World Cup. Portugal, that's Group H. Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and Korea Republic. This group is a very crunchy group, very, very difficult to predict. But a team that has Cristiano Ronaldo and some top players in Europe, talking about Portugal, and of course Uruguay, a very tricky team from South America. Now, South Korea, there've been doubts about Song Min-young if he's going to return back, but report has it that he just might make it to the World Cup because his surgery was successful. He should be playing in 6 weeks' time, in 6 days' time. So we hope that he will be playing for South Korea. But Ghana, Kule, we saw how Ghana qualified, even though it wasn't a very convincing win over Super Eagles of Nigeria. But of course, they found their way to the World Cup. How do you think they'll perform in this group?
Yeah, I think Ghana has a very good chance of progressing in this group. When you look at Portugal, like what we saw, what I said in Group G, Portugal looks like a very strong team. That none of these teams, when you talk about quality and performance at the highest level, I want to give it to Portugal to progress from this group. But another team that we also look at, yes, let me quickly talk about Ghana. After they knocked out Nigeria with that away goal rule and all of that, a lot of players have actually switched allegiance to Ghana. We saw Inaki, who plays in the Spanish league, who presently has scored 5 goals so far for his club. Switching allegiance. We've also seen some other players also switching allegiance, and these guys have decided to hit form at this time, not forgetting Thomas Partey of Arsenal. The young man has been putting on great performances week in, week out for Arsenal, and has been pivotal to Arsenal topping the group as we speak. When you take all those factors into consideration, you want to agree with me that Ghana is going to give Uruguay a very good run for their money. Korean Republic, I really don't see them standing a chance, though they are very formidable force in the Asian continent. But when you talk about the World Cup, I think this team really doesn't really stand a good chance against some of these teams. So I feel that it's going to be Portugal and Uruguay qualifying from this group.
All right.
You can't rule out Ghana pulling an upset also in this group, at least qualifying at the expense of Uruguay.
All right. I mean, this is one of the most difficult groups to really analyze in terms of picking. Now, apart from Portugal, Portugal also are not really in the top form right now. If you look at their last few games, so even their chance of topping that group is very slim. But I mean, I think Korean Republic might cause an upset. That's my take, as far as this is concerned. Now, that's how far we can take on our road to Qatar today. Now, next week on the program, we'll be giving you some sights and bites from what's happening in Qatar. By then, we should be talking about a few days to the kickoff of the World Cup. Let's take a very quick break. We'll be back with the rest of the program. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. Now, as the World Cup kickstarts in a few days, expectations are high and hopes are high that African players will have a very good representation, representing the continent very, very well. But on the flip side, it's not all rosy with Super Eagles, because reporter has it that the new manager is experiencing job in the Nigerian way. He's been owed 6 months' salary, so we are told. One thing is to work for us in this part of the world, and another thing is to get a wage. How is it surviving? 6 months, no salary.
It's very disappointing one. We thought that we've gone beyond this level. Even before now, we knew that the former coach was being owed at some point. And, I don't know why some of these coaches just adapt to the Nigerian structure. That's why it's going to be very difficult when the Nigerians talk about getting the security service of top coaches. I think it's going to be very difficult to work in the Nigerian terrain, the Nigerian system, because it's a place where when you expect top organization, you get least organization from that part. And I'm surprised, I'm disappointed that the NFF up to now are yet to pay the salary of Jose Peseiro, and the sport ministry came out to say that they are in good talk with him, and it's not a big deal and all of that, that they understand the fact that they are not denying the fact that they are owing, and they said they've discussed with him that the money will be sorted before the end of the month or thereabout. That's really disappointing. When a man is diligent with his job, when he performs his duties, you should pay him his salaries, and this has been happening in Nigeria. I think even if it were to be a Nigerian, I'm sure that you can be old for as much as 7-8 months. We know what happened with some of these Nigerian coaches. They will tell you, please, I'm being owed a certain amount. 8 months salary. Please don't let the NFF know, because I might be booted. It's disappointing. It's very disappointing. How do you expect the coach to give his best when it's being held. I think that this should be sorted, and we should never hear of this anymore.
The question we should be asking is that the NFF officials, are they being owed salary? Before Pinnick left, did he pay himself? And all the guys that worked with him, did they earn their salary? Now, if they all earn their salary, including the new NFF president, if he has earned his first month's salary, then it's a shame on all of them. But it will only make sense if if NFF is even still owing Pinnick as we speak, because this is unacceptable. It's not good for the image of this country.
Absolutely.
It has to stop. You know, for every month everyone works and earns pay, you should pay them. It's very bad and unfortunate.
When they were saying, some people felt that, you know, we should get top coaches like Hulit, to come and
owe them.
Owe them. I think they will just resign immediately.
Anyway, talking about the Super Eagles and some matters, the home-based Super Eagles will be involved in a friendly game now. On the 17th of this month, we'll be playing another big one. That game against Portugal will see Super Eagles players playing warm-up game to the World Cup, even though they're not going to participate. But it's going to help us understand this team better, understand our players better.
Yeah, Brownson, is really very good that we are getting to play friendly games, and you know, life continues after the World Cup. We're going to be having the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, and also Joseph Pessoa has come out to say he's going to be winning the forthcoming African Cup of Nations. So the game against the Portuguese national team, the Portuguese national team needs to test a team that you know,
like Super Eagles. Don't forget that
to prosecute the game against the Black Stars of Ghana.
And for Nigeria, there's also a plus in that game. It's a friendly.
Yes.
And if you look at the similarity between the way Super Eagles play, for me, there's even similarity. I think Super Eagles are better than Black Stars, but it's okay. It's okay to use Super Eagles to prepare against Ghana. Now, not because I'm a Nigerian, but if you look at it, talent, man for man, I think Super Eagles have got talent than the Ghanaian national team. So it's a very good way for the Portuguese. I think that's a smart move from the FA.
Yeah, it's a smart move from their FA. I think we're going to give them a good run for their money with the way our players are performing right now, week in, week out. Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman. We've got that young man, Terry Murphy, who's just come back from injury and netted a goal against Paris Saint-Germain.
Iwobi is also doing very well.
Alex Iwobi in the heart of the midfield for Everton. These are top players. And we've got Paul Onuachu, who also bagged 4 goals last week. These guys are actually doing well. And I think that the Portuguese national team are really going to struggle against the Nigerian team. But where we always have issues has to be the middle of the pack, where we don't really seem to always. If we watch that game, even against the Desert Foxes of Algeria, the friendly game where we lost by 2-1, we had challenges in the midfield. I'm still not convinced.
Don't forget, Didi is back from that midfield. Didi is back.
Yeah, he just started playing games. He played a cameo role in their last game. Yes, we need to really look at that area, and I think that the coach Pesero really has to work in that area. Much attention should not be shifted to the attack. I think the midfield is a place where we really need to work on. And you know, looking at the game between Nigeria and Portugal, if care is not taken, if we don't really get to play well in the midfield, we might just be beaten, because you know, if the supplies does not get to the strikers,
they're not going to score.
They're not going to score. Like what we saw last week.
As a matter of fact,
the ball couldn't get to the strikers of Manchester United. And Cristiano Ronaldo and others were, and the Rashford were.
It's a gist. I hope they'll permit us to look at that, to revisit that story later. Let's take a very quick break at this point. We'll be back with more stories. Don't go away. All right, welcome back to the last lap of the program. Now let's go straight to what's happening in Europe. Now, lots of things, but let me start from Italy today because our boy Victor Osimhen is still scoring for fun. Now, the game last weekend, he had a hand in all 3 goals that were scored last week. It was fantastic, but for Victor Osimhen, at this point, I think that the hope and the belief of Napoli winning the Scudetto is getting even real.
Yeah, getting real. I think for the first time in a very long time, I'm seeing a very good Napoli team who spring passes together, who are really desirous, and they've got a very good coach who understands the importance of winning the Italian Serie A. Talking about Spalletti. In the game against Atalanta, the second place team, I think just the way they played against Roma, it was a game they took with all seriousness, knowing fully well that Atalanta are also very dangerous with the Nigerian import, who has bagged 5 goals prior to that game. And they took the game to them. It was a big battle in the midfield and also getting into the attack. And like you said, Victor Osimhen was involved in almost all the 3 goals that were scored because he handled the ball inside the own box. And VAR check, and was a penalty which was put to bed by Ademola Lookman. And then Victor Osimhen came back about 4 minutes after that game with a header. And the last goal, he had a hand because he gave that assist. Worked on the defense, out-muscled the defense before releasing the pass to the scorer of the goal. So it was indeed a very good one for Napoli. And Napoli in recent time has always been a delight to watch. Apart from the loss they suffered against Liverpool, where they were thoroughly outplayed at Anfield. It's a fact because they were thoroughly outplayed in that game. They've been a very formidable team this season, despite having whole lot of midfielders and top strikers in their ranks. We still got Raspadori, who took the position of Victor Osimhen when he was injured. They've got Simeone as well, who also gets. So
they look like a team that can really win, because
that can win.
For you to win a championship, your bench must be as good as what you have on the pitch.
Absolutely.
That's what Napoli has right now. But in England, it's a different ball game because it looks like Arsenal. They are almost running away with the title, but it's still all right, but of course against a Chelsea side who went 9 games unbeaten. Now the weekend before the previous, they lost 4-1 at Brighton. We thought it was a mistake, but what happened last weekend, I don't know what to call it again. But Arsenal showed class, dominance.
No,
of course.
It shouldn't be a surprise. I think this is what happens when you employ security services of someone who, for me, does not have the quality to take that position. Potter, for me, is not the best coach that is not the right coach for Chelsea at this time. And coupled with the injuries they have in their ranks right now, it wasn't a surprise looking at the way
Aubameyang was invisible in that game.
It was anonymous. Prior to the game, he said, "Look, no hold back." I think a day before the training they had prior to that game, he was first to arrive at the camp and he was practicing shooting. He was shooting and hoping that he would get to shoot at Arsenal, but unfortunately, he had
seriously,
6 touches on the ball.
Potter has always been seen as a mid-table team. Maybe he's taking Chelsea to where he belongs.
Yeah, just the way we saw. He's taking them where they don't like. That's what the management, the American owner. I think that the Chelsea is missing Roman Abramovich right now. I'm telling you, Roman will never have gone for a coach in the mode of Potter.
But of course, you also agree that Roman Abramovich also employed Roberto Di Matteo, and it turned out to be good for him because he went on.
No, it wasn't as if Roberto Matteo was employed.
He went on to win the UEFA Champions League.
No, I think Roberto Matteo was an assistant, and when the real coach was gone, he had to take over, and he took over for just a period. It was just like a season where he won the Champions League. He was given the boot, and just the way it happened with Tuchel. It's just very sad because the manner in which Tuchel was sacked is absolutely unjustified.
I think the owner wanted to make a statement with that sack of Tuchel, but that gamble hasn't.
He used that dividend for them.
We can say he had dividend for the first 9 games because Chelsea were unbeaten. They made a lot of noise about it. That's how it is. We'll give you more on that on our subsequent show. Olakule Philip, thank you so much for being a part of the program today.
Yeah, it's always my pleasure to be here at Bronson. I'm saying farewell to
Gerard Piqué.
Gerard Piqué, who had a 25 illustrious career with Barcelona, winning loads of silverware. So I'm saying all the best to him in his endeavor.
All right, for Gerard Piqué, all the best. The guy may be retiring from football, but his business empire is booming at this point. The guy wants to concentrate and make more money. Maybe someday he will return to Barcelona, maybe not as a coach, but to contest for, for the top job in the club. That's our final whistle on the program today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Now, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms displaying on your screen right now. You can also go to YouTube and, of course, type Spot Pizza, subscribe. It is absolutely free. You can also send us an email with the email address displaying on your screen right now. Until we meet again next week, thank you for watching. My name is Brownson Uwana. Enjoy the rest of your day.